Hello. I'm going to talk to you about your first mini research assignment. Your assignment will be due Wednesday, the 18th. So, next week, you have 1 week to complete this. Here is what you are going to do. The first step is to determine what your argument is. So, you have to have a topic that can be argued. There has to be two sides to the argument. So, is pizza really healthy? Is dance considered a sport? Who's the better quarterback, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? Does school need to be shorter? What is better, candy or gum? Should school have uniforms? So, if you're having a hard time with coming up with something, start with should and think about a topic that you are interested in. For example, I would be curious to know who you all think is the better rapper. Is it Tupac? Is it Biggie? Is it somebody else you have in mind? The next step you're going to do is you're going to determine the claim. That's your opinion on the argument. You're arguing for or against something. So if you're talking about who is the better quarterback, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, you might decide that Tom Brady is better than Aaron Rodgers. The third step is to ask yourself some questions because questions are what it's going to drive your research. You can even type in your questions that you have about your argumentative topic into the search engines that you're going to be using. So if I'm talking about my claim is pizza is healthy, my question I might research and I will write down is what are the health benefits of pizza? This is what an example of your assignment. What's written in blue are my arguments, or my work. So, what I'm arguing is should humans go into space? That's my argument. I put it in a question form, and that's totally fine. My claim is that so far, I think, based on what I've read, my background knowledge, is that space exploration is dangerous to humans. And I might find, based on my research, maybe my opinion will change. But right now, I think space exploration is dangerous to humans. Then I need to have at least two questions. So I'm going to research and I'm thinking about, well, why is space dangerous? And how is space harmful to astronauts? The next step you're going to do is you're going to research. So, yesterday we practiced and we talked about using keywords in search engines or databases to find reliable sources. If you're going to be researching, who is the better rapper, Biggie or Tupac, if you're going to be researching who's the better quarterback, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, the databases probably aren't going to help you. So you're going to have to rely on Google. If you're using Google, you want to look for the .orgs, the .govs, the .edus. Those are pretty reliable sources. If you don't have any of those as options, then make sure that you use RADCAP. Okay? Making sure that you keep track of your sources. You're thinking about RADCAP is the top is what you're looking at. Is it relevant? Is it appropriate? Are there details? Is it current? Who's the authority? And is there any bias? Then you have to keep track of that on this document. So you can see here I have my first piece of evidence, and you need at least evidence from three different sources. And you can have multiple quotes or paraphrases from the same source. I mean, NASA's a pretty credible website, especially if I'm talking about humans going into space and it being dangerous. And so that's what I wrote here. That NASA is a credible agency that's responsible for the exploration of space for the US government. So, for your final product by the end of the trimester, you have to cite your sources a certain way. But for this mini one, we're just going to cite our sources using the links. And so when you go to cite a source, I'm going to just go straight to NASA, let's say. I don't know what I'm going to use for NASA right now, but I'm going into NASA. Notice how it's insta.gov, so it's probably a reliable source. I might pick something on here that I'm really going to use, but for right now, I'm going to just copy my URL and then I'm going to write in my source and then I will highlight it, insert link, paste my URL, and then it turns blue if I'm correct. I'm going to just erase this though so you don't see it. What you could do is, again, you can totally record your evidence word for word in that last box, or you might want to rephrase the information in your own words. But you do need 3 different sources. I just showed you that, but it's here as well. Finally, the final step, this is why it's not due until the 18th, is that you need to write a paragraph. So you have to persuade the reader to maybe think the way that you do, change your thinking, or think about that topic in a different way because you're trying to prove that you are right. So you want to start with a topic sentence. And I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like. So here we go. Space travel has always interested our planet, but there are many dangers of space exploration. So I've introduced my topic, and then I've stated my claim is that space exploration is dangerous. I want to make sure that I'm using transition words. I'm going to underline those. Then I want to make sure that I give credit to the source. So according to NASA, the Lunar and Planetary Institute says, science.org states, want to make sure I introduce where my evidence comes from. And then I copied that. Notice this is a direct quote, so I'm using it in quotations. If I'm paraphrasing information, I don't have to use quotations. I also need to make sure that I elaborate. I need to explain to the reader why this piece of evidence proves, or in other words, how it proves my point, how it proves my claim. So this proves it is dangerous because. Um, Finally, I need to have a conclusion sentence. All of these reasons prove why space exploration is dangerous. It's a pretty basic conclusion, but that's okay for my mini research project. So this is due on the 8th, the 18th, so it's due next Wednesday.